Understanding the similarities between plants and animals is very important because this shows the similarities between both of them, and it gives us this overview that both organisms tend to interact, or they have these clear similar features between both of them, that what animals actually do, plants can do those things. So the first thing here is both of them can grow. Okay, so you can see this chick. This chick, bears do lay eggs, so it gets to a point where they tend to the egg tend to break off, and when you break off, what happens? They grow out of the shells and they pass through different stages and get to adult stage. Okay, so these just kind of like a stages which bears do undergo. We have different animals. Lots of animals like mammals, like your rabbits, your lion, and all that. So they give birth in different ways. So these organisms tend to lay eggs. So plant do the same. Plants, if you plant seed into the soil, what happens? Once the seed gets access to nutrients, and these nutrients tend to tend to be accumulating into the roots of the plant, what happens? The plant tends to start growing. They utilize these nutrients, and they start to pass through different stages. For example, the cells become very active. The cells start undergoing what they call cell division, and growth to start occurring in the plant. So animal grow, plants also tend to grow. So this is a similarity between plants and animals. And the next thing that's very important is both of them do respire. So plants respire. So during the day, they give out carbon, they give out oxygen. Yeah, they give out oxygen and take in carbon dioxide. That's for plants because they use carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. The animals, that's why you tell you that if you go to a forest where there is a nice forest, you get the best type of air during the day. Why? Because plants give out oxygen for animal to respire. Okay, so you get the best type of air in the forest. So animals will take in oxygen, okay, and give out carbon dioxide, and this carbon dioxide is being utilized by the plant for the synthesis. But mind you, at night the reverse is the case. Once photosynthesis is over, then plants take in the oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. So the reverse is the case for both of them. But just the clear picture you just need to know for this section is that both of them tend to what to respire. I know for respiration to take place, exchange of gases need to occur. So you can see the exchange of gases in this picture. Okay. So the next one is they both reproduce. So plants reproduce to give rise to seed. Okay, and these seeds tend to germinate and pass through different stages before they become matured. Okay, so reproduction is very important. And like I told you, I make reference to pollination in my last section, whereby pollen is being transferred. And when that pollen is fertilized, seed is being what produced. Okay, so different plants have different mechanism for reproduction. So humans will have different kind of reproduction. You can see cats, they give birth to a live, young ones alive. Then we have your birds, they lay eggs. So you have some unicellular organisms. Yeah, they undergo fragmentation. You have budding, hydra, and all that. So all these are types of reproduction that goes in both plant and animals. Don't forget, you have higher organisms, higher animals. You have lower animals. You have higher plants. You also have lower plants. Okay, so this is very important. So all organisms need water. So they both need water. So even though a soil have all the nutrients, if there's no water to dissolve the nutrient in the soil, the plant cannot absorb that nutrient, so the plant will tend to die. So plants cannot do without water. Animals cannot do without water. If we don't take in water, our cells will desiccate. And what happens? The human being will tend to die, and the animal will tend to die. So we all need water to survive. So both plants and animals need water to survive. So the next one is we need oxygen. So we take in oxygen, we breathe in oxygen, and we give off carbon dioxide, and plants also do the same. So both organisms tend towards to breathe in air. So we need air to survive. We need air for different things. We need air apart from breathing. We need air for other important activities, for combustion, for burning. If we want to burn the substance, we need air as a human being. Okay, so this is just one of the similarities between one of them. So the next one is stimuli. So in terms of stimuli, so both organisms tend to respond to stimuli. Okay, so If you see this picture, this plant have some sharp thorns. So once a person places the hand on this fruit, what happens? The person will tend to withdraw the hand from it. Why? Because the fruit has some what sharp thorns. So this is kind of a defensive mechanism that this fruit used to protect itself from other animals that feed on it. So when they get to the fruit, the fruit edges and the thorns will tend towards to pierce the predator or the animal that want to feed on it, or maybe like bears, for example. Then they'll tend to fly away. So it's just kind of a defensive mechanism. So in terms of stimuli, once you place your hand on these fruits, you tend to remove your hand from it. Why? Because you feel that or sensation of pain. So humans tend to undergo stimuli, and plants the same. They like this, for example, you see this plant bending towards sunlight. So plants are very sensitive. So at the apex of this plant, you have what we call auxin, which is a hormone found in the apex of the plant. So they tend toward bend towards sunlight. So this is a type of stimuli. So plants respond to stimuli, and animals also respond to stimuli. So for example, this plant is called touch me nots, normally called Mimosa pudica, or other species of mimosa. So once you touch the plant, the, the, the plant is the plant normally is open like this, but once you touch the plant, what happens? They tend to what? Close. Why? Because they are sensitive to touch. So this is the type of stimuli. Okay. So the next thing, the both excrete. So plants give out oxygen during the day as a form of waste product. Okay, and taking carbon dioxide at night. The reverse is the case. So some plants have they remove what they call gums and latex from, like for example, like rubber tree. They remove latex from the stem, and if once you if you cut the leaf of rubber, you see some white latex coming out. Okay, so plants remove some waste product form of gum out of the stems. And humans, you have some waste. For example, this is the dump of some animals, like it look like that of a rat. Okay, so once you taking food, you tend to remove the excess waste out of your body through the anus, in form of what feces. Okay, so both plant and animals tend to remove waste from the body. All right. So both plants and animals have cells. Without cells, an organism cannot exist, and an organism cannot survive. So you have a plant cell, you have the animal cell. So I'm not going to explain about plant and animal cell because this is not the main focus of the lesson, but it's just a similarity between plant and animal in terms of their structure and what they tend to undergo. Okay, so they are both. They are one thing about plants and animals is that they both die. Okay, and they are both organisms, so organisms tend to die. So you can see this picture. This is a remain of an animal that have died for a long time. You can see the bones, you can see the skeleton, okay, and the plant beneath. You can see it that it has actually wilt. So once the plant don't have access to water, they will tend to die because they need water to survive. Okay, so there's a plant that changes over time. So for example, they can remain dormant for a particular season and tend to sprout out of the soil and grow properly at the particular time of the season. Okay, those because that seasonal changes on how they affect different plant species. So, for example, you can see during winter time, some plants will tend to die. Then during summertime or during spring, they'll spring out and start bringing out flowers again. Then during winter, they'll die again. They'll die back to the soil. So it's just kind of a reverse case. Okay. So the way plants are being built and animals are quite different from each other. Okay. So a plant can tend to regenerate. Yes, they can regenerate. Why some of them tend to what? To die. Most plants like seed producing plants are very vulnerable because why? If the seed, if you're not able to plant a seed again into the soil, they cannot come into existence anymore. So that seed needs to be propagated. Okay. So for example, if you have a maize, okay, let me say, yeah, he goes to a maize farm and he cuts all the maize, he eats everything without keeping some dry maize so you can plant in the next season. The next season you have no maize to plant. So if you do that to all the species of maize, there'll be no species of maize will be in existence. So some plant species are advantageous, while some are very disadvantageous. Okay, so this is just an overview of the similarity between plants and animals. So I have some stretch questions here that you can just attempt. So anyone that's quite difficult, you can just put in the comment section. So why are plants and animals both classified as living things? Can an organism be alive if it does not grow? Explain. How do plants and animals differ in obtaining food? Why is water important to plants and animals, and what will happen if plants could not reproduce, and explain how a plant responds to its environment. The seventh one is, why are cells important in both plants and animals? And which similarity do you think is most important for survival and why? So these are questions you can just play with. And if you find anything difficult here, you can put in the comment section and we'll go to discuss it. All right. So I'm going to see you in my next section. And thanks for watching this video to this point.